The Great Gospel of John, revealed from the Lord through the inner word to Jakob Lorber. Volume 7, Chapter 218 to 220. Julius Caesar, a humble farmer in the beyond. Chapter 218. The spirits explain about the world in the beyond. The Lord tells a story from his youth. The Lord. After that, the counselor asked the spirits who appeared to him if they were real or maybe an illusion of his perhaps bewitched senses. The spirits said, "We are truth, and if you cannot see that and do not want to understand, you are only fooling yourself." The counselor said, "Then why can I only see you now? And why not also during other times? Why did you not make yourselves visible to me when I desired even fervently so many times to see you?" The Spirit said, "You also could see and speak to us more often if your soul were not blinded by the love of pleasure of the material world." The simple first men of this earth could do that, but when the following descendants sunk still further down into the materialism of the world, they also lost the ability to see the separated souls and to deal with them. Because of that, the darkness of doubt came over them, in which they also lost the belief in a continuance of life after the death of the body, and were anxiously wondering among themselves if, after the death of the body, the soul would continue to live. And look, this condition full of doubt of the very sensual human beings is a true punishment for their moral perversion, and so it is good. Because without this bitter punishment, men would still sink further down into the judgment of matter. And so, the fright of the death of the body are keeping them from it, because they do not know and realize what will happen with them after the death of the body. In the world during our life in the body, we all have gone through this same punishment, and we were full of doubt about all kinds of things. Only the real separation of our body has convinced us that after the falling away of the flesh, one continues to live. And during this continuance of life, only those are doing well who were righteous and performed good deeds. But slanderers and those who were not righteous, hard and completely loveless, are in a bad situation, even 1,000 times worse than those who are languishing here in the dungeons. It is true that you are a righteous man, but you are still hard and relentless. When you will come to this world with those qualities, you also will find this strong and relentless justice. But no love and compassion, because not any soul will find anything else here than what he has brought with him in his mind, for one stands on his very own ground here. Do understand this and take it into account, so that you may pass over to us well prepared, because now you have a better opportunity than we ever had." Then the counselor said, "Now I believe that you are real and not an illusion, but just tell me who that young Jewish man is who performs such wonderful works before our eyes." The Spirit said, "He is the one who he is, who he was, and who he always will be. We may not say more about him, because his will is commanding us. However, he is with you. You can ask him yourself." After this, the counselor turned especially to Julius Caesar and asked him, "On earth you were a very intelligent and mighty hero. All and everybody had to comply with your commands. But how do you live now in the world of the spirits?" The spirit, Julius Caesar, said, "Already in the world, I had to reap a terrible reward for the things I did, for the sake of my glory. That is why I did not bring much good within me to this place. And that is why my reward was great poverty, and my worldly glory was here like a dark night, in which I only was able to see here and there a couple of stars, flickering through the thick black clouds. I was alone for a long time, without any company, and I had nobody else except myself. No matter how I shouted, cried, walked around and searched, it was all of no use. I called upon all the gods, but there was no answer. After a long, sad, desperate time in my terrible situation, I came to the idea to turn to the God of the Jews. Then it became lighter around me, and those couple of stars became also lighter, and it seemed as if they were coming closer. When I noticed that, I put my full trust in the God of the Jews and asked him fervently to help me out of my great need and misery. Then there was still more light around me, and the star came down close to me. And soon I discovered that the star took a human form, and this man was someone for who in the world I once performed a real good deed. He said to me, "Hail you, that during your night you have found the true God of the Jews. Banish your false gods, and banish also your own greatest idol, your Caesar glory. Become entirely humble, then I will take you to my house." Then I turned to the God of the Jews again, and asked him to take away my glory and false idols. After that, also the other stars came as human beings toward me, and said, "Also we have been on the earth, just like you, but we were poor Jews, who were persecuted by your priests. But you have protected us, gave us presents, and helped us to return to our country again. Now you are poor, and of all earthly treasures you have nothing except that which you have done for us. And therefore, because God allowed us, we came to you to reward you the good that you have done for us. If you want to come with us without any glory, then you will find shelter with us." Then I went, and came at once in a wonderful, lovely environment. It seemed like a broad valley with a big, beautiful lake. The valley was very extended and surrounded with high mountains, which were beautiful to see. Before me stood a couple of houses, just like so many of them that are well known on this world, that are called fishermen's huts. Farther away I still saw more of those huts. The fields were luxuriously green. There were only a few trees, but they were full of the most beautiful fruits. On my arrival, I found in the hut, located at the right side, shelter with a friend, who in my greatest need was the first to come to me, and there I also found immediately something to eat and to drink. Everything was extremely simple, but still it gave me much more pleasure than my great treasures and palaces in the world had ever given me. When I felt so happy in the hut and had also strengthened myself sufficiently, my friend took me outside again, where we discovered a boat on the clear surface of the water of the lake. There was someone in it, and with his hand on the rudder he came in our direction. I asked my friend who that skipper might be, and he said, "He comes now and then to us over this lake, of which we do not know how long it is, and he always makes known to us in a very friendly way what we have to do next. After that, we have to go to work again. We take up the work again that is advised to us. We work with full dedication and with pleasure and delight, and our effort is blessed every time by the God of the Jews. When we came to this environment, just like you now, it still looked barren and deserted. Only by our diligence and zeal it turned into such a flourishing state. As you will from now on want to work with us, and thereby also receive the blessing that we have received." Chapter 219. The Life of Julius Caesar in the Beyond. This was very pleasing to me, and I went with my friend to the shore of the lake. The skipper landed soon and said, "Over there on the shore of the lake, on the right into the land, is still a dreadful pool in which there are still all kinds of terrible vermin, which is now and then polluting the air of this environment. You must drain this pool. Throw good earth into it until the pool, which is not very deep, is filled up. Then you will improve your environment a lot and gain another fruitful piece of land." My friend and also I thanked him with gladness for this advice. He quickly sailed away again, and we immediately started the real heavy work. The necessary tools for the work that was advised to us were in the house. We cheerfully and gladly took them, went to the place that was mentioned, and started to work. But still I became fearful and afraid when I saw how big the pool was, because there was such an enormous quantity of terribly looking vermin, and I said to my friend, "Listen, before we will have drained the pool, at least a full 100 years on earth will have passed by." Then my friend said, "What difference does it make to us how many years will have passed by on earth? Such a time does not exist here, because there is only one and the same eternal day here, and our time lies in our will. And this pool is only a necessary image of the filth that is still within your heart. And here it is especially your duty to purify yourself of it, by a firm will and by patience that was totally strange to you. But I will help you. Then this dreadful pool will soon, and without too much trouble, be changed into a fruitful piece of land. When I heard that, I strengthened my will and started to work with great patience. In the beginning it seemed as if the pool would never be filled up, but slowly it became visible that we did not work in vain. And so, this terrible pool was soon completely filled up with good earth. The vermin died under the weight of the earth and was buried forever, and we won a good and nice piece of land. And immediately we placed a new hut on it, which we put at the disposal of the arrived novices, because we usually are helping them, just like the friend of whom I am talking has helped me in my progress. Since that time the skipper came to us already several times, and each time he has given us new work to do, so that our environment changed into a true Eden. I still live there and desire for myself nothing higher, more beautiful or better. Therefore, do not be concerned with anything in this world which is from a worldly viewpoint great and precious, because here only the works and deeds that are truthfully good and noble have any value. Totally astounded, the severe, highly ranked counselor said to the spirit of Julius Caesar, "In relation to the earth, where is this region that you have described so faithfully now?" Julius Caesar said, "The described region is surely not to be found on this earth, but still it is so that it can be located anywhere, because where I am is also the region. Slowly I have come to learn that the place, the region, and everything that is surrounding me in our world, as apparently lifeless matter, grew out of myself, just like in a way a tree on earth. Or, in other words, I myself am the creator of the world wherein I am living, and my friends are living therefore in the same scenery because we have the same love, the same will, and consequently also the same way of thinking. But also a lot of other spirits can live on the same spot, and each one of them in another region. This is the great difference between us, spirits, and you, still earthly human beings." The counselor said, "This I do not understand. How can there be multiple regions and scenery on one and the same spot?" Julius Caesar said, "Oh, that can easily be, and finally even in a very natural way. Look, in one and the same room are sleeping for instance 100 people, and all of them are dreaming. One is in Rome, the other one in Athens, and a third one in Jerusalem, a fourth one in Alexandria, and so on. Everyone is somewhere in a totally different place, and this is so lifelike that during the day he cannot stop talking about it. Well, how is this possible? All 100 of them are in one and the same sleeping room, and yet everyone in a totally different environment. Yes, how come, when thousands of people are on a field and each one of them sees something different in one and the same instant? Look, more or less everything is in the other, or rather in our spirit world. The difference between our world and the one of yours here is only the following. We spirits are actually living in our very own world, but you are living in the world of God. Because our world is the work of our thoughts, ideas, desires, and our will. But this world is the work of God's love, thoughts, ideas, and will. That is why man is the image of God, has creation power in himself, and in a purely spiritual state he can create his own world, and consequently live in his very own property. This you surely have understood now." The counselor said, "But then those men who are surrounding you and who are dealing with you are also your work and your property in the world which has come forth out of you?" Julius Caesar said, "Also that, partly, but I could not make them appear before my spirit, and even less steal, see, hear and speak with them against their will. But this looks very much like the seeing, hearing and feeling of your fellow men on this earth, because you also do not see the real human being, but only an image of him in yourself. You only can feel him by your own feeling and hear the sound of his words in your ear, which is arranged in such a way that it imitates the sound that is coming to it through the air. However, when you are blind, deaf, and without feeling, the fellow man does not exist for you, even if he would be very close to you. But even if you hear, see, and feel so many people and imagine them in your thoughts, then in reality you will still see, hear, and feel nobody if there is nobody. And so, also in the spirit world, the spirit with whom you want to associate must be there, at least with his will, his love, and his awareness. Without this, you are alone, or the human beings that you can see sometimes for a while are nothing else but phantoms of your fantasy, does not have an existence in itself, no reality, and consequently, they also cannot associate with you, because everything that they seem to be is yourself. And this is the same and infinite big difference between God and us men who are looking like him. The fact that only God can call, out of his great thoughts, complete free human beings to life, whereas we spirits can only call phantoms but no realities to life. So also the world that is inhabited by a spirit is rather a phantom than reality, because spirits with a greater measure of perfection have shown to me the world on one and the same spot, and that world looked totally different than the world in which I am living. But this you will only understand and realize completely once you yourself will be a resident of your own inner spiritual world. And now I have shown you enough what life is like after the falling away of the body. Therefore, do not ask us any more questions. Chapter 220, about believing and seeing. The Lord. At this moment I took away the ability of inner sight, and he did not see any more spirit. Then, being full of fright, he asked me where the spirits had gone now, since he could no longer see, hear, and speak to them. I said, "They are still here, just like before, but you cannot see them, hear, or speak to them anymore, because your soul is still too much one with your flesh, and is still not completely united with God's Spirit in him. But if you will strive to unite with the Spirit in you, you will always be able to see, hear, and speak to the spirits which are around you. Did you well understand this?" The counselor said, "Indeed, but I am feeling now as if I am drunk, like someone who sometimes is of clear mind, and soon after that very foolish, and says, 'I will need years before all this will be totally clear to me.' I said, 'He who searches diligently will also find what he is searching for.' However, man can wear himself out during all his life, which is generally happening all too often, and in this way will spoil his body, and even more so his soul. But reversed, he can also make great effort unto the eternal benefit of his soul. When people are attaching so much importance to their body, which will die after a short time, then why not even more for the soul, whose destiny it is to live eternally? Therefore, be you also more zealous for the well-being of your soul than for the well-being of your body. Then there will be more light, and it will become clearer within you.